All right, guys, it is time for the Covrprice Top 10. We're going back 1 year. All right, guys, let's get into that Covrprice.com Top 10 from a year ago. Where are these books right now? Big updates, though, from Covrprice that I wanted to get into. We're going to skip all the social media hoopla, subscribe, all that. We're going to get right into the updates. They made some big changes. Let's get into it. First up, Covrprice. They have just launched their update. For the first time ever in the industry, you can now see what all your raw comics are worth based on the grade you give them. This update makes Covrprice the most accurate price guide in the industry and lets you easily see what your raw and slabbed comics are actually selling for right now. The update has gone live. Go over to covrprice.com and check it out. With that, we're getting right into the top 10. Let's go to number 10. This is Earth 2, number 25. This time last year, it was announced that Michael B. Jordan and his production company, Outlier Society, were developing an HBO Max Black Superman project separate from the one J.J. Abrams is doing. This version would focus on Val Zod Superman, whose first cover appearance is this issue. Many details were unknown, like if it's a film or a TV series, and whether the actor will play the central role. Regardless, Val Zod key books were super hot. 9/8s were selling for $350 and had a high sale of $89.95 for a raw copy. Now, 1 year later, there's been no new news on this project development. Word is that things are shaking up at DC across both content and comics. The future of this project is completely unknown. While this title hit an all-time high in October of 2021 at $525 for 9/8, Raws now sell for a fair market value of $21 with 9.8s at break even. However, it's a bust for Raw. Guys, this is a great example, in my opinion, of a post-hype sleeper. Raws were selling at $90, obviously extremely inflated and exaggerated. Now Raws are selling for about $21. What happens? What do you think is going to happen if news breaks that this project is moving forward? That $21 book may not see 90 again, but it may see 60, it may see 70 or 75. 9/8s have plateaued and held at $350. Seems like a post-hype sleeper kind of book. It popped, post-hype sleeper. Remember, post-hype. It hyped, went way up. Everybody was hyped about it, and now it's coming down. We are post-hype and a sleeper book because I think people have forgotten about this project. Yes, DC is a little scary. They're canceling things left and right, so you don't know if it'll ever come to fruition. But for $20, if you're looking to make a couple bucks, you may have some room there. With that, let's go to number 9. This is the Kaiju Score number 1. This is the 1 in 15 Mark Nelson variant. This time last year, Deadline announced that Sony Pictures and Escape Artists were developing the Kaiju Score for television. This news lit a fire under the first issue, and this variant, which has a high sale of $20 raw and $110 for a CGC 9/8, 1 year, the lack of news has settled this book to $16 raw, $16 to 9/8. Aftershock noted during San Diego Comic-Con that this is still an active development. Keep in mind that content does take time to develop. Another bust. We're 2 for 2 on the list for a bust. Again, though, $16. There's not a whole lot of room. I mean, even with the news, it was only like a $20 book. Now it's a $16 book. Unless you really want this, I wouldn't invest in this book. But if you want it for yourself, who knows if it'll even go much lower than this? Seems about right for a number 1 in 15 variant. Why not? Let's go to number 8. This is The Nice House on the Lake, number 1. This James Tynion's new title was one of the hottest new books of 2021. This book dominated Covrprice's top 10 for a good solid month. This time last year, it had a high sale of $25 raw, $175 for a CGC 9.8. Now, 1 year later, the market has moved on, dropping raw prices to $13 and 9/8s falling sharply to $63. Another bust. That's 3 for 3 with the bust. And I don't know why people would have thought that this book would have held on to its value. It's just a Tynion project. Great book from what I've heard. I have not read it. I have not done enough reading in my life recently, but that's a whole nother video. Try not to fall for these kind of things. Look at this. If you had sat and waited on this book, you saved yourself a little bit of money. You can go pick it up for $10 to $15 now raw if you want to read it. And I imagine it's still ongoing right now. See, I'm completely out of the loop. Let's go to number 7. This is Avengers 267. This is a good book to talk about here. This well-timed look back reflects when Disney Plus's Loki had a significant market boost 1 year ago, and the reveal of Jonathan Majors is appearing as Kang, or He Who Remains? Was it He Who Remains? I forgot. This caused this issue to spike, with fans heavily buying into the Council of Kangs, whose first appearance is in this issue. It had a high sale of $950 for CGC 9.8, $117 raw. 1 year later, this book returned to Covrprice's top 10 due to Marvel's Phase 6 title reveal of Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. However, despite renewed heat, it came in at $23 raw, $269 on 9.8, a huge bust when you look at the massive prices this was hitting 1 year ago. Again, we're 4 for 4 now on the bust list. 1 year ago, this market was as hot as it ever been. These books will probably never hit those high sales like they did last year, especially this. We've just seen the book pop, and it's only nearly a quarter of what it was a year ago. It's also not a major key. It's not a blue chip key. It's not a Silver Age key. This is just one of these, it's kind of a modern, mid-80s, Copper Age, minor kind of key. I don't think we will ever see this book in a 9.8 hit, even $500. I'd be very surprised unless things start to turn around with the market, because again, I think they're talking about the Avengers movie coming out, 2024 or 2025. So that's time for the market to rebound. But for the numbers we were putting up last year, I mean, it's going to take years, in my opinion, for everything to climb back up to where those were. That was just unbelievable. Let's go to number 5. This is Marvel Team Up Annual number 1. 1 year ago, this book was a surprise entry to the week's list. It simply trended due to a select few YouTube influencers calling this undervalued due to it being the first new X-Men team from Giant Size X-Men number 1 outside of any X book, and the first time Spidey meets this new team. His first meeting of X-Men is Avengers 11 from 1964. It sold for a high of $60 raw and $179 for a CGC 9.0. 1 year later, raw prices have fallen to $20. While there hasn't been another 9.0 sale, a 9.8 did come to market and sell for $800. This is a bust, but a boost for graded. This is a $20 book all day. I mean, maybe $30 to $35 in a decent grade. Nothing super special about this book. Let's go to number 4. This is the Kaiju Score number 1. As noted last year, the Kaiju Score was announced to be in development for Sony Pictures. That pushed its first issue to new heights with a high sale of $15 raw and $200 for a CGC 9.8. As noted, 1 year later, it's said to still be in active development. Yet the lack of news has left this fall from collectors' minds. Today, it's selling for $8 raw and $80 on a 9.8. It is a bust. I mean, is there potential to make a couple dollars here? Maybe if this thing starts, we start hearing rumors and casting and all of that. Do you want to take an $8, take a shot at an $8 book and maybe it'll be a $20, $25 book? I don't know. I guess if you buy enough of them, why not? Let's go to number 3. This is Earth 2, number 19. Also, as noted, Michael B. Jordan and his production company announced that they were developing a Val Zod Superman project at HBO. This news helped Val Zod's first appearance in this issue hit a high sale of $125 raw, $1,000 for a CGC 9.8. This ultimately hit a new high of $1,000 in... Ultimately, that was a new high for $1,000 for a 9.8. 1 year later, the market has slowed down on picking this up until there are more announcements on the film's progression. Raws have fallen to $46 with 9.8s at a fair market value of $450. This is a bust. And again, guys, even if news came out tomorrow and Michael B. Jordan said he'll be playing Val Zod, is this a $1,000 book in a 9.8? I don't think so. It's $450 now. Could it hit $750? Maybe, but that's a risk I'm not willing to take. I'd rather buy a raw copy for that $40 to $50 range and hope it goes to $75 to $100. But I wouldn't be investing the big money thinking it's going to go from $450 to $1,000. Again, you got to remember a year ago, everything was inflated. Everything. And this list is proving that point. Let's go to number 2. This is Basilisk number 1, second print. Last year, Boom's Basilisk title was gaining popularity due to this second print containing a preview of House of Slaughter. It hit highs of $35 raw, $125 or 9.8. Now, 1 year later, the market has completely moved away from this preview, letting raws fall to a fair market value of $2, 9/8 at $34. This is a bust. The writing was on the wall for this book. It now costs, it's cheaper to go buy this book in a 9.8 than submit it yourself. That's where we're at now with this. $2 for raw, 9/8 are at $34. Don't worry about this book. Unless you're a really big Something is Killing the Children fan and you want all the keys and everything that has everything to do with that book, you can go get it for merely $34, 9/8. Not bad. We're going to go to number 1, but before we do, guys, remember to hit up Covrprice. Remember, they're down below in the description. There is a discount code to sign up. They just revamped. Everything is looking great over there. Get your raw books graded, graded values. Everything is on there. It's awesome. And there's pictures. I don't think enough people talk about that. There are pictures. It's so nice to confirm the book that you think you have versus the one on the screen and get the value. So with that, let's go down to number 1. This is Star Wars, The High Republic Adventures number 6. This issue of High Republic Adventures number 6 features the first appearance of Tal Boda, Leoz Gyasi, I'm screwing this up, guys, and Afi Hollow. It's unknown where these characters will go in the Star Wars universe, but the market sure was interested in this Star Wars spec book last year. It had a high sale of $25 for a raw copy with no 9/8s at the time. 1 year later, raws have fallen slightly to $15, yet a 9/8 sale hit a new all-time high in June of 2022 at $125. This spec may not be the hottest in Star Wars, but still has fans picking up this issue for the future. It is a bust raw, but it still has potential, guys. A lot of first appearances. Everything Star Wars is hot. But again, nothing is invincible to the market fixing itself and everything coming back down to earth. It may not hit pre-COVID numbers, right? But it won't hit COVID numbers, if that makes sense. I'd be very shocked. I think it's going to take years for things to hit that. So let's talk quick our numbers here. This list featured all the hot content related titles from this time last year. Almost all non-Marvel content announcements see a big initial surge and then a sharp drop about 2 to 3 months later. That is a lesson to be learned, guys. Developing content for TV and film often takes years to release to the public. Its long journey to screen does not lend well to comic book speculation and maintain the prices for their comic origins. However, as seen by The Boys, there are always projects that reclaim and even surpass their initial announcement market surge. However, in this case, these titles were all a bust across the board. Guys, make sure you check out Covrprice Top 10, see what's on their current Top 10 and movers and shakers list. Come back for the next show because we're going back 2 years. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, keep it comics.